So I think it's pretty much safe to say at this point that Marvel Studios and Lucasfilm fall into the endless vicious cycle that is driven by those like Kathleen Kennedy and Kevin Feige as well, that really absolutely refuse to really take any kind of responsibility for all of the failures and the box office flops that came as a result throughout, of course, 2023, 2022, and so on and so forth, and what's been going on right now behind the scenes for what's looming in 2025 for everything Star Wars and Marvel. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So one thing about Kathleen Kennedy that we all, I think, can agree on here is the fact that she is the one running the show over at Lucasfilm. Anything that she puts her hands on gets tarnished, alright? That's why anything related to Star Wars is always driven by some level of an agenda that really drives away fans. And at this point in time, as far as I'm concerned, everyone, Star Wars is beyond saving. It would take multiple years, even if they turned around and changed their ways, it would take many, many years to convince the fans that Disney would be reformed and that they would be doing the right thing. Now, focusing on everything here related to the Acolyte series, which by the way has been getting endless backlash and really shows no signs of letting up at this point, due to Trailer 1 and Trailer 2 getting ratioed across all forms of social media, something that we have never seen before in Star Wars history under Disney's wing. Now, interestingly enough, Kathleen Kennedy is still pursuing her overall marketing campaign for the Acolyte by going against fans and defending everything at all costs related to the Acolyte. Now, with both Marvel Studios and Lucasfilm considered the two most failed divisions at the Walt Disney Company, one major development now has much to do with Kennedy and the Acolyte series Backlash, where she delivered the following. As a producer, and especially one who is running Lucasfilm, I do find it to be my responsibility to remain upfront about our direction with the Acolyte and the type of reception that we have noticed. This series was important to me because we really made sure to shift away from that burden of George's vision of Star Wars. We have come to realize that some fans aren't so happy about that, and I think they don't really understand the importance of shifting away from one's vision to evolve the story and to adapt it to the modern times, and to modern viewers who may not even be Star Wars fans just yet. One thing I and Leslie agreed on with this show is that we needed an unbiased cast and crew to really put this thing together. We had so many working on the series from so many different communities that didn't really know anything about Star Wars, and to us, that was a refreshing type of team to work with. I will address this again, but any level of criticism that we have noticed is nothing more than a minority and nothing to lose sleep over, and I think those type of fans are just in it to ruin the fun for others. We have so many Star Wars projects in the pipeline right now, and I find it to be very irresponsible from some of those who claim that we shelve projects here at Lucasfilm. Look, shelving projects and putting them on what I like to call the back burner are two different things. We don't shelve, okay? That's just not our style here at Lucasfilm. But with shows that support diversity, equity, and inclusion, you are always going to have some percentage of the community that you are working with that will claim this or that is an agenda when that is completely false. We don't produce products and programs and films here at Lucasfilm that deal with any kind of an agenda that holds some form of a strategy to drive away fans. It's just completely untrue and dishonest, quite frankly, coming from some fans. If you are not a fan of diversity, equity, and inclusion in the many projects that we support, then I think it's best for those fans to perhaps part ways, because our priority at Lucasfilm is to acknowledge the many communities that have been ignored in this industry, especially the LGBTQ community that we made sure to take proper care of in the Acolyte Season 1. Now, and we plan to fully incorporate that community front and center in our other upcoming shows and films that we are working on right now at different stages of development. DEI is something that is always put to the wayside from so many studios, and it's absolutely inspiring to see so many studios beginning to realize just how important it truly is. It really should be the priority in the story-making process, and how these stories are told to the audience. Now guys, let me say one thing about what Kennedy is spewing before I move on. Now, we already know that the Acolyte is going to be one of the scenario is similar to The Last Jedi. It's why I like to call it The Last Jedi 2.0. Leslye Headland is literally the reincarnated Rian Johnson as far as the creators of Star Wars go. She looked up to him, she looked up to everything that he did with The Last Jedi. Heck, Rian Johnson even wanted to incorporate some level of storylines from The Matrix into The Last Jedi, and Leslye Headland really went out of her way of doing that with the Acolyte series. Now, as far as the choreography goes, a lot of people have had their criticism about that, where it feels way too much like The Matrix when they're fighting, and I agree with that. I really do believe it just feels out of the Star Wars realm, so to speak. But focusing here on Kathleen Kennedy, yet again, this is all about, we don't have an agenda, but there is an agenda, alright? She goes on to talk about how there's no agenda at Lucasfilm, and then goes on to talk about DEI. I mean, the logic there is absolutely insane, it makes no sense, and it never will make any sense, because it's Kathleen Kennedy after all. So, look, I mean, going back to the Agatha series, as a little joke here, it was Kathleen Kennedy all along, right? She really is the puppeteer of everything going on over at Star Wars / Lucasfilm, and quite frankly as well, everything happening with Marvel. I don't know if you guys knew this, but she is a very good friend of Kevin Feige. She influenced a lot of ideas for many Marvel projects that really went under the radar for so many months. I don't know if you guys knew about that, but focusing away from that, alright, she goes on to conclude, it also allows us to reach a wider, more global audience and to really make some of these characters more relatable to our target audience that we are focused on currently. We have no intention of slowing that pursuit down as we speak. We have seen nothing but great things coming from our support for these communities. We will have more to discuss about this in the near future. So again, I mean, there you have it. I mean, they are doubling down on DEI, everything related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. By the way, that's what it stands for those of you that do not know. The Acolyte is going to be the pinnacle of that, of representing that in Star Wars. That's basically what it really is at the end of the day. That was their major focus. It's why I feel like they're focusing away from really telling the audience about what the overall idea is about the Acolyte, why they shifted away from the marketing, why there were so many different cutbacks by Bob Iger and the board when it comes to the funds related to the marketing. But overall, I mean, they know that this series is going to get a lot of backlash at the end of the day, and you know what, I think at the end of the day as well, Lucasfilm was asking for it. You know, they knew what was coming, that's why they put the trailer pretty much to the wayside as well, as Kathleen Kennedy would like to say, quote unquote, but that has been delayed for almost an entire year. The first trailer existed at Star Wars Celebration of 2023, only to the attendees. They hid it from actual fans for almost an entire year because they knew what was going to come out about it. But overall, I would love to hear what you all have to say about Kathleen Kennedy, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.